the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast. We thank you all for tuning in with us this morning as we conversate about the latest sports topics that have taken place from this past week and will be upcoming this week. Um, Thank you for joining us for yet another fun-filled season here on the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast as we embark on our second episode with our guest for this morning. And so, yes, world, we are back like a shark attack, back like we left some, back like we ain't got no clothes on our back. And for the world is a better place when the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast is taking place. And so, thank you all for tuning in with us this morning as we conversate about the latest sports topics that have taken place from this past week and will be upcoming this week. It is always a blast to have you all tune in and participate with us every weekend. As a reminder that every week we always like to remind our audience uh, that the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast can be found on Facebook via the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast community page, on Instagram, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify as the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast. And you can see that on the bottom of our screen as well as our own Facebook pages via Brandon Price, Jamar Goodman, and Jones, as well as our guest for this weekend, the beautiful and elegant Miss Arianna Emanuel-Wright, in which later we will give you all information on where you can find and follow her. Today is August 19th of 2023, and we have seen yet another fascinating week in the sports world, where we saw the Chicago White Sox, Chicago Cubs take one apiece in the Chicago Crosstown Classic Series, in which in the ninth inning of the second game of a hard-fought contest, the Chicago Cubs pulled off a walk-off victory to not only strongly position themselves in a position for the NL wildcard, but also take a step in the right positioning for the NL Central. Additionally, James Harden publicly bashed his boss, Daryl Morey, stating he does not want to be a part of an organization that is attached to Daryl Morey, in which, as of yesterday, he stated that his relationship with the Philadelphia 76er organization is beyond repair. The 2023 Women's World Cup comes to a conclusion as England will face off against Spain. And also congratulations to Sweden, who took care of Australia for the bronze medal, as well as the 2023 FIBA World Championships taking place and that competition beginning soon later in the month of August. And so with that being said, introducing our guest for this morning, our sister, Mrs. Emanuel-Wright. She has quite the resume. And so welcome again to the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast for the second time. So Ari, y'all joined us back in June, and it was a fantastic conversation we had with this young lady. And so just as a background for Emmanuel, or Ari, we call her, she has quite an extensive background. She is from Jacksonville, Florida. She's a very young lady that is very accomplished, educational wise, etc. She has 4 degrees, an associate's in exercise science, bachelor's in psychology, a MS in EDS and career counseling. She has been honored as an All-American academician at the University of North Florida, and that is fantastic. She trains youth, acts, travels, and manages 2 businesses, and she just grows in whatever she does. She is partnering with shoe labels, Moolah Kicks, a female shoe brand, and she is playing in the Atlanta Entertainment Basketball League. And so, although yes, it's on break, Ari, and I know you told us you are still a part of that league and that organization. She was a player in that league where she averaged 15 points per game, 4 rebounds per game, and 2 assists. She is a 2023 Women's Drew League nominee, a 2023 WNBA Pro Hoops Combine, 2022 FIBA League Top 3 player, and a 2021 Athletes Unlimited tryout. She is, as you can see on the highlights, a 3-way scorer and quick in transition, superior rebounder and jumping ability, magnetic energy. She is unselfish, and she is an active defender. And the one great thing that I love about your resume, Ari, is that you are a JUCO product. That's fantastic. And so she just finished her season in the ABL. She has trained with various, profound people. She is also a WABA All-Star as well, where she averaged 15 points per game, 6 boards, 2 assists, and 2 steals. And she played for the Richmond Road Runners. And I remember that, Ari, because I watched our last episode, and I remember you were talking about the WABA. And so she's trained with Jamison Thomas, Atlanta Dream player development coach, Amar Stark, Chicago Sky player development coach, Taja Cole. She's a WNBA AU player. Jaja Cole, WNBA AU player. Paris Blackwell, Derek trainer. Milton Chavis, John Wall's trainer. Hugo Reyes, WNBA NBA trainer, as well as Jordan Lawley, who is a WNBA NBA trainer, and then Doron David, a Canadian WNBA NBA trainer. And so she has quite a background. And so she's also into business, Airy Consulting. This is her firm, and then AK1. She has coaching experience, and she does a lot for the youth, including the Junior Wizards, etc. That's fantastic. And so we are grateful to be a part of her media coverage. She has quite an extensive background of media coverage. And it's great to see that she rocked with us on the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast after rocking with various brands. And so fantastic. And so with that being said, Ari, we thank you again for joining us on the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast. Welcome back. And of course, as we do all our guests, we want to ask you, how are you this morning?
Yeah, thank you so much for asking. Yeah, I'm doing great. Great start to the day. I'm just excited just for another, week ahead of me. I think that I'm just extremely honored just to even be here to share my story, but also just blessed to just have all these opportunities and, not be afraid to take these risks and, just be ready. Because I think that's one of the things that I've just learned in my life. um you ask for things, you
Mm-hmm.
want to be in these rooms, but when it comes, it's always when you least expect it, and so you always just have to be ready for your moment.
Yes, that is very true. Yes. And so thank you again for joining us on the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast. And introducing my brother from another mother and one of my partners on the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast, Mr. Jamar Goodman. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Morning, Brandon. I'm doing fantastic. How's everyone?
Yes, sir.
Pretty good.
Yes, yes. Great. Thank you. Yes. And additionally, introducing our partner here on the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast and our other brother from another mother, Mr. Ian Jones, aka Rod Tidwell. Mr. Ian Jones, my bro, what it do?
How you doing? How you doing? How's everybody? It's a beautiful morning. Just ready to discuss some sports.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Great. Yes. And by the way, Ari comes to us, y'all, as a representation of She Knows Her Sports LLC, which is associated with our sister Helen Bohanna. Good morning to you, Mrs. Helen Bohanna. We look forward to conversing with you and chopping it up with you this morning via Facebook as well as within the near future. And so, with that being said, let's get right into it. And so, we want to know, Mrs. Arianna Emanuel-Wright, who is she, and basically what is she currently up to? You are our guest, but we want to make sure we take the time to get to know you and see what you're up to, what things you're doing. And so, what are you up to? What's going on in your life? And just who is Emmanuel on? Who is Ari? Who is Ari? Let's just like, who is Ari?
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, just again, listening to all those things. It's just amazing what the past year has been like for me. I would say just the other day on Wednesday, I traveled back down to Gainesville, Florida, because I actually went to junior college first for my to start my college career. And so I went to Santa Fe College. And so I was invited back by my coach to present to the scholar athletes there, because they're about to start their new semester, new year with sports, all that. And so I presented to baseball, women's basketball, men's basketball, and volleyball. And I pretty much, just took 15 minutes to share my story, to talk about, the concept of failure, and how it can help us grow. I think I remember that video by Giannis, and he kind of talked about failure. And personally, I didn't agree with it because I think it has being able to recognize those downfalls, to recognize those moments where I was just like very, you know, you know that when you're down, like you feel as though you can't move forward. And I know for me personally, I have this move forward um type of mindset. And I talked about all the, bad times that I had. I think that it's easy to share all the accomplishments, but there on social media, there's not really, I think there's not a space where people just kind of talk about all the, no's that they've had. And so I really just enjoy being able to talk about, my story from being in junior college, starting college at 17 to, now being 25 and having all these amazing things that I've just been able to accomplish. And so, yeah, doing that. I work at the University of Richmond full time. So I'm about to start the new school year with the students, have some great programming planned. Um, and then I think, as of now, like I'm slowly trying to work myself in terms of the background of sports. And so that's why I've been doing a number of like coaching and operational based roles within the sports industry. So like, for example, with the Cleveland Cavaliers, they had their first ever virtual sales academy. And so I
Mm-hmm.
was able to complete that. It was a very competitive application process, like over 300 applicants, and I was selected as one of the 80 to complete like that academy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I recently also traveled down to Memphis. There was something that's called the College Basketball Academy. So they have the top high school athletes there. And this was the first one for the women's side. And so pretty much, you have these top high school athletes, AAU teams. They had the USA 3 versus 3, like women, girls team, Canada team. And then, big college coaches recruiting. And so they had like Kim Mulkey there, Don Staley, a lot of like just top names. I was able to connect with some of my college coaches that I had. But I wasn't, coaching there, but I was doing
Mm-hmm.
the operations, things that nobody wants to do. And so, working 16-hour days, just doing all of those little tasks, but very big in terms of keeping the gym in order. And so, yeah, I'm just very humbled. I mean, I think that out of whatever, like again, whatever opportunity I see, I'll just apply for it. Even if I get a no, I'm thinking about the next opportunity. So yeah, right now, I'm doing career like development field full time. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm also just I got my toes into the sports industry too, with little things here and there.
Mm, yes, that is fantastic. You definitely have a great background, Ari, and that's really good to see what you're currently up to right now. Um, yeah, and so additionally, we want to know, Ari, if a person wanted to get to know Ari. I kind of got an idea, me, Jamar, and um, but if a person wanted to know you, what are some of your character traits? Like what would you tell a person if they wanted to get to know you?
Yeah, I would say automatically I'm a really good listener. I think
Okay.
that it's in like an actual active listener. If somebody's coming to me and they want to talk about what they have going on, I'm not trying to interrupt. I'm not trying to listen to respond. I think a lot
Mm-hmm.
of people go into a conversation and somebody's talking and they're already thinking about what they're going to say, or like, oh, this is what happened to me. This is what I do. And it's not about that. I think I just really like to be interpersonal and really, if I'm really good one on one. So if like you're taking the time to talk to me, I'm not the best at small talk. I hate it personally.
Mm-hmm.
So I really want to have genuine conversations because I think in this world it's just everything's just so fast paced. And I think in a conversation, kind of like a phone call, I love phone calls rather than text because I can actually hearing your voice. Like you say you're good, but I can tell you're not. So I'll say that I'm very intuitive, instinctual. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think at this point of my early career, I'm very direct and I'm very confident in myself, just based on the work that I put in terms of my education, my basketball career. Like I've put in so much work, and so I have to be confident in myself so that I can continue to be successful. But also, I just don't like sugarcoating things. I think in my working roles or just whatever I'm doing, I'm having a conversation. Like I'd rather just address things head on because I think sometimes people hold on to these grudges. They hold on to what they actually feel about you. But for me,
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather you just tell me, even if it's nasty or negative, because we got to move on. And so
Yes.
I make mistakes. So tell me, call me out so that we can,
Correct them.
move on. Yeah, correct it, solve it. Because I would say that's another thing. I'm very solution oriented.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like to have a problem, and if I'm able to control the situation, control what we can control, then that's going to cause issues in the future.
Mm-hmm.
So like that. I feel like just kind of describe who I am.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And by the way, I just figured out something. Woo! All right. Jamar and Ann know what I'm talking about. So yes, even you are. All right. And so great. Speaking of Ari, right now you are in Atlanta Entertainment Basketball League. We just want to know, you had a pretty good season here. I mean, you dropped 14 points per game. You got a number of assists. You could definitely defend from your stats. And so 14 boards. I mean, 4 rebounds per game, 2 assists, 15 points per game. And you can get buckets. So I'm curious, Ari, what was that experience like this season at the AEBL? Because 15 points per game is pretty hard if you play even at the local gym. You know, I average about 2 points per game. And so you dropping 15 points per game. And so I'm just curious to know, like, what was that experience like for you playing in that league?
Yeah, I mean, I think that lead, so the way, actually, to kind of go back, so Helen, my agent, she made amazing, she actually shared the opportunity for me to try out for the league. So they posted on their social media that they were hosting tryouts. So this was a couple months ago. And one thing about me, and I was talking about with the students, I think it's so easy for us to invest our money into like shoes and clothes, etc., but I always like to invest my money into an experience. And so I found out about the tryout last minute, and it was the best $400 I ever spent to fly down to Atlanta to try out. And for me personally, investing that money, when I went into that gym, like I was like, okay, I have to go off because I already don't spend this money, one, but also I really want to do this. Like I want to have a great summer playing in this
Mm-hmm.
league. And it's funny because like it was a lot going on that day. Like flying in, my phone didn't turn back on. Like my phone just like complete. It was an iPhone 10, so I shouldn't have
Mm-hmm.
even tried to stretch it to that
Right.
point. But yeah, my phone wasn't coming on. I actually took a taxi to the gym. I
Wow, that's passion.
um before, like, luckily I remembered the address to the gym. Like, yeah, Kip is at Kip Atlanta Collegiate. So I had a lot of challenges even within that day, but end up doing a great tryout. And so basically they already had a set number of teams. So obviously in the league they had 7 other teams that were already well established, stacked, with great players. And the thing about it is, like, this isn't like you said, this isn't just gym pickup.
Mm-hmm.
These are collegiate players, like top collegiate players, people that are overseas, former, current WNBA players that play in this league. And so
Right.
you are working every game. And
Right.
so when I was trying out for the new team that they were creating. And so did well in the tryout, ended up being on this new team. Um, so that was already a challenge because pretty much you have 6 weeks of action. So every weekend I was traveling down to Atlanta, taking a flight to get down there, investing my money, investing my time, energy, obviously. And I was traveling like early Saturday. So I would wake up around like 4 in the morning, get there, probably around 8 a.m., just hang out at the
Mm-hmm.
airport just to get my mind right. And then game time was like at 12 p.m. After the game, I would fly back to Virginia. So I was doing that every weekend because I
Mm-hmm.
really just wanted to do this, but also just see, if I still had it, because it's been, my last like organized was with the WABA. And so the challenges with it, like in terms of the team, we didn't have a lot of consistency because not every player, like pretty much we didn't have a consistent roster every week, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
We had a new coach, so the coach was new, we were new, trying to learn each other, and we had some really great moments. But I think just our thing was like we wouldn't be consistently like efficient throughout the entire game. And we're playing top teams, teams that again are well established. They play with each other, and so we didn't have the best season. It taught me a lot. It taught me about the role that I had to take, and I think going into next season, I would definitely keep that in mind in terms of like my leadership. And I look at those stats and I'm like, it's okay. For me, it's okay. But I know I want to elevate it better in terms of like the assists, the rebounds, even steals, things of that sort, because we're playing these top teams, then I have to elevate my game in terms of my leadership.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm already like, I'm excited for this off season because I want to just do better and be better and stick it out, because I think it's easy to like leave and quit. Like, okay, we had a bad season. Just go to it. Go join another team. You know, like Katie. I'm sorry, I love Katie to death, but I mean, I can't join the team that beat us. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I be quitting after scoring 2 points per game, and then I start missing. I just walk off the court like I quit.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
again, I'm just already thinking about what I can do to just be better and elevate,
Right.
and so that we can be the story that shocks everybody next season.
I like that. I like that. Yeah, Jamar, remember that time doing pickup basketball at Purdue? I quit in the middle of the game because I was just having a bad game and my shots weren't going in, and I missed wide open layups and stuff, and everybody started laughing at me because I had on some like white shoes that was real dirty. I just quit. I just walked off the court and said, "Let me just."
Yeah, I thought you retired that day. It's over.
So it was really, really rough that day. Uh, that was the day, Ari, that turned around my life, and I said I need to stick with the books. Yeah. So yeah. And so on the other hand, Jamar. My stomach hurt. On the other hand, Jamar and brothers, you guys got any questions as we continue to get to know Ari?
I just think I don't have any questions per se, but I think I'll just say, that's just an amazing story. How she got to Atlanta,
Real.
having so much trouble, but she still made it. That just shows, even the flying out there every week, that just shows your dedication.
Mm-hmm.
Like, be denied, and I mean, from anybody, you just have to respect that. So that's a salute to you.
Appreciate you.
Yep.
That's facts, because everybody can come up with an excuse to why they can't accomplish something they want to accomplish. It's not too many people that actually take action. And my
Right.
thing is, if you really want something bad enough, you'll stop making excuses and actually implement something to get to where you got to go. So
Yeah.
Yes, sir. That's real. That is very, very, very real. Yes, absolutely. And so, yes, Ari, that is a fantastic story. And, sometimes you got to spend money in order to make money, if you know what I mean.
Oh
And
yeah,
so,
definitely.
that is a fantastic thing. And that's an amazing story for all our viewers to look at and marvel at. And so, yes, with that being said, let's progress with our conversation. Let's talk about a moment that I know is near and dear to our sister Ari. Um, Dwayne Wade was inducted into the Hall of Fame. And recalling our last conversation in June, you stated that Dwayne Wade was like one of your favorite players of all time. And so he happens to be also one of our favorites because he's a Chicagoan. And I've watched his journey as a kid. I remember hearing about him as a kid, as a kid, literally. And so I'm just curious to know, like, how did that feel to see one of your favorite athletes and basketball players of all time get inducted into the Hall of Fame? And so please know, world, that his fellow classmates included one of the greatest coaches of all time, Coach Greg Popovich, the San Antonio Spurs point guard, Tony Parker, Paul Gasol, his championship with the Lakers, Dirk Nowitzki. We all remember that championship against the Heat and his great career, as well as Becky Hammond, amongst others. And so we're just curious to know, how did that feel to see one of your favorite athletes and basketball players of all time get inducted into the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, for me personally, I mean, it's not surprising because I mean, he's just great. He was a very amazing player. I think people forget about the type of career that he had and the way that he was able to do it even before LeBron got there to the Heat. And
Right.
so, yeah, great for him, great for his legacy, his family. I like how he's also invested into women's sports,
Yeah.
and having a stake into that. I think it's good to see that aspect too, that he's committed to trying to just expand the outreach in terms of the WNBA and things of that sort. So yeah, very proud of him. Like I said, growing up, definitely was a fan. I think just being in Florida, and I think Orlando wasn't really big fan of them. I mean, they were closer to Jacksonville, Florida, but definitely I was thinking about Miami, doing
Right.
it big bigger market. So yeah, that's why I like Dwayne Wade a lot.
Right. Let me ask you though, do you have any love for Orlando since you're not far from there?
Um, yeah, I mean, I remember traveling down there with my church. We used to go to some of the games, but I mean, I think other than Dwight Howard, like I think people forget about him too and how great
Right.
he was and dominant. Um,
Max.
but it's just they couldn't really figure it out, you know. But it was right there. But no, it was not
Right.
really connected to them as a fan.
Right. And you bring up a really good point. Like when it comes to Dwight Howard, a lot of people don't remember just how dominant he was. He
Oh
was
yeah, yeah.
he was that dude.
He was
He was
up
that dude.
there. He was up there. I mean, I don't know. I guess if you could pick between, I don't know. That's kind of hard. If you say like Prime Dwight and Prime Shaq,
Mm.
going
For
going
me,
at
yeah, I got Shaq. What about you? What about you, Ari?
I don't know. I feel like the easy answer is Shaq, but honestly, I would love to see. I guess if Dwight was playing in Shaq's generation, or if Shaq was playing in Dwight's era, what would you say?
Still Shaq.
Still, either way.
Yeah, because with Shaq, when he was in his prime, and he had he wasn't the cactus in Phoenix, but the Orlando and the LA Laker. And
Yeah.
he was a force.
So when he was the Diesel and not Unleaded 87, that's what you're saying.
Basically. Yeah. You guys can look at the pictures with Cleveland and the Shaq
At Boston.
in Boston, and you can
Yeah.
tell he was very different from the Diesel in Orlando and in LA. And so yeah, it's a really good one though, because Dwight Howard, I mean, if you take a look at the man,
Mm-hmm.
like he was a man amongst boys, a grown man. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's interesting. You bring up a nice point. It's interesting. Let me ask you this though. And Jamar, maybe you guys what do you think about this? Who had the most dominant span in Orlando's history between Shaq and Dwight Howard?
Would probably be Dwight,
Yeah.
maybe because I
Because
believe.
he was
Yeah.
there longer?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
I think a couple years, or like
Yeah.
maybe 3, maybe.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah, because they
I
both
think,
were dominant in their
Yeah.
yeah.
spans.
So
Both lost in the final.
They both went to the finals. That's true.
yeah,
Yeah. Um, let's keep in mind though, Shaq had Penny with him.
Yeah,
That's true.
Um, you know, uh,
prime Penny too. No injuries before injuries.
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And I always wonder if he would have stayed in Orlando, what that would have been like. Like with Penny, if he would have stayed and if Penny would have stayed healthy. Remember, they beat us, y'all. They beat us in the playoffs.
Yeah, be Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
But they got swept in the finals though
They
Yeah.
they got whooped by the
by the Rockets.
Yeah.
right.
Ooh.
Yeah.
At least Orlando got one with
Right, with the
Dwight,
Lakers.
right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna say Dwight, just because I mean that we saw peak Dwight, like the unappreciative Dwight Howard that goes unnoticed these days, that should have been a top 75 player. That's probably the biggest travesty that I've seen in regards to him. But also the fact that the way that team was built around Dwight and his impact alone, like I just feel like his like dominant impact on the defensive end, and how we've probably never seen an athletic center like that before.
Yeah.
Like people forget that this man was touching the top of the backboard. Like his range,
Mm.
as far as being a rim protector and finishing the ball in a league that was starting to transition to the 3-point shot, because his team was basically 4 out and him in the middle.
Mm.
You had Hito, when you had Rashard Lewis, when you had JJ Redick, Rafer
Tito
Austin,
Turkoglu.
Jameer Nelson. Like you had those guys,
Yeah.
Petrie. Like it was definitely the white do your thing down low. Everybody else, we shooting threes, and it worked. And then the last thing I'll say is, remember the puppets, the LeBron and Kobe puppets that they just kept promoting, like they wanted those two to be in the finals so bad, and Dwight Howard was
I
like,
remember 2009. Yes. Everybody was looking forward to it. Everybody.
yeah. And so the fact that if you heard Dwight in a recent interview, he said he was real mad about that, and that's the reason why that they really got rid of the Cavaliers as quick. So I'm going Dwight with that one.
Yes, well, Jamar is going with Dwight Howard as having a more dominant span in Orlando than Shaq. And he raised some very valid points. It might make some folks be like, what the hell is he talking about? That's Shaq he talking about. But he brings up some very valid points. And so I can see that, Jamar. I can see that definitely. Yes. And so, all right. Guys, let's progress with our conversation. Um, we want to know, Ari, the NBA season's coming up. You are a hoops fan. We're hoop fans.
Yep.
And we see a lot of splashes have been made this offseason with the NBA. We see Phoenix made some big moves, etc. We see Golden State picked up Chris Paul.
Right.
So we got some squads out there now that are vying for an NBA championship. We even see the Lakers made some quiet moves. We see Milwaukee was injured last year in the playoffs.
Right.
And so basically just curious. Jamar, will start with you, and we'll start with you, and then Ari. Want to know, give us your top 5 NBA championship contenders for this season. If you had to make a top 5 list of the top NBA championship competitors for this season, Jamar, Ian, and then Ari, give the world your top 5 NBA championship contenders for this season. Jamar, can you hear me?
Yeah, sorry. All right, so number one, obviously the defending champs, right? Because that team, the Denver Nuggets, Jokic proved that he was, last year's best player in the world. Like that man did everything under the sun, and they have a terrific supporting cast. Even still, with the movement in all season, the Nuggets are still that team until somebody says otherwise. The second one here, I feel like had things not went, the opposite way, I feel like this team probably been in the finals.
I already know who he's talking about. Yeah.
The Milwaukee Bucks. I feel like Giannis is really that guy. That team, they basically running it back. They brought back Brook Lopez, re-signed Chris Middleton. Team has a lot of depth. Team already has championship DNA, so I'm with that. I don't know. I feel like this is where the list starts to get tricky. I'm gonna go third with the Boston Celtics.
Okay. I know. I mean, they got Kristaps. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they made that move. I know some people, may feel a certain type of way about, the departure of Marcus Smart. But I mean, if you're paying, one guy $300 million, you're about to pay another guy well over $300 million here in the future.
Yep.
I mean, you've been to the conference finals like every year. Been to NBA finals. I mean, at this point, you just got to get it done, right?
You got to get it done.
That's that. So the team I got number 4 this year is more so, I guess, based on potential, and that's the Phoenix Suns.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, the depth is probably going to be the biggest question mark. But, I feel like talent usually wins, especially when it comes to playoff series and stuff. It's usually whoever has the best players in the 4 out of 7 settings. Like that's usually the one that get it done. So Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal.
Yeah.
Bradley Beal. Like I'm a big fan of Bradley Beal. So that right there.
Yeah.
5, I'm like, to be honest with you, man, I'm stuck. I'm stuck between three
Well,
teams.
okay.
I mean, I can't stand them, but the Lakers. I mean,
I'm a Lakers fan. Yeah.
I, I haven't I haven't been a Lakers fan at all, even in the youth. That I can't stand them, but I can't knock what they've done from getting to the conference finals, the moves that they had in the off season. I they they look nice on paper. We'll see what happens. The other two teams, I don't know if I'm just hopeless, over the top, just wishing here. It's just something about the Clippers to me. I just don't,
Okay.
because I felt like if the injuries didn't occur, I feel like it'd been a different story last year in the playoffs. But I know that's the same episode like every year. I know that,
Right.
but I just feel like Westbrook in that uniform just does something for me. And I
Right.
know that's I want to say that's your current favorite player in the league, right?
Which guy?
Ari Westbrook.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, yeah, that's right. Ari, yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just something about that to me. And then the other team that I would say that I feel like is a sneaky team at this point is probably Memphis, with the addition of Marcus Smart, with the addition of Derrick Rose, with this team actually going to the playoffs and going through some adversity, losing that matchup. That team, with the subtraction of Dylan Brooks, maybe this team here might be poised in my opinion. So that's my top 5.
Boy, you making the world go crazy right now, Jamar. And I know they are. People saying, "Where's Miami? Golden State?"
Well, until Miami pulls off Damian Lillard, until Klay Thompson actually looks like Klay Thompson, until
Right.
everybody actually starts to look like somebody. I mean, this is what I got on August 19th.
But somebody else said the Clippers can't stay healthy. Somebody said that. I said that. The Clippers just gonna clip.
I mean, Anthony Davis, we could throw him in the same boat with the Clippers then if we can talk about health.
Yeah,
This
exactly.
is true, but he was healthy the last playoffs, and look what the Lakers did.
Is he gonna be healthy this playoffs?
That's the problem. Yeah.
If he is, right? But then you can also say with the Clippers, if the Clippers are healthy, what can they do? But Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, boy, you touch his leg, he hurt. He almost is equivalent as Anthony Davis. Like I saw him at a Whataburger in LA, and I just went ahead and I just like, what's up? And he walked and he just got injured. I'm like, damn, I ain't even do nothing to you, bro. Like, and so yeah, it's rough out there. It's rough out there. And so yes, with that being said, Ian, let's get your top 5, bro. Because the world right now is going crazy after Jamar's top 5.
So of course number 1 would be Denver. At 2, I would have the Celtics, but I think the Celtics window is closing real fast. So I think this will probably be their last year to
You think they window closing, really?
Yeah, like you
What?
said, they've been
Jaylen
to
Brown's 25, bro.
Yeah, but I think they're gonna hit a crossroads with that team. It's only so much money they could give out. So I think they don't really get it done. I think I had to start breaking up the team a little bit. I got Milwaukee 3, 4, and 5 is tricky for me. So I'll put Phoenix at 4, just based on that roster as of right now. I don't know how the bench is going to be because they're so top heavy. With that big 3, well, really the starting 5. And 5 is really kind of a toss up for me. Like between the 3 teams, you got the Warriors, the Lakers, and like Jamar stated, if the Heat pull off the Damian Lillard trade, maybe the Heat, or a sleeper could be the 76ers if they get Damian Lillard. So I would say that would be my top 5.
But who's your top? I mean, you got a lot of what ifs for that 5th. You got to pick a 5th team.
I got to pick one.
Yeah.
If I had to pick one today, I will go with a recent defender. So I would go with the Warriors. You can't count out the Splash Brothers, and with the veteran guard like Chris Paul, that's a pretty good signing. Although, he's in his later years, but they don't really need him to do much, but just facilitate. So
Right. Okay. And by the way, Prescott JB stated that the Clippers sponsored by Icy Hot, Band-Aid, Mueller Athletic Tape, and AARP. And so that's basically good morning, Prescott JB.
Oh,
That's what he stated. Who sponsors the LA Clippers? Because apparently they can't stay healthy for nothing. And so again, he stated that the Clippers are sponsored by Icy Hot, Band-Aids. And I'm just curious, Prescott JB, is Band-Aid, is that a national brand like Band-Aid? Um, and so, because I know Icy Hot's a brand, so Icy Hot, Band-Aid, Mueller Athletic Tape for athletes. You know about that, right?
wow, yeah,
Athletes, right? Mueller Athletic Tape and AARP. They got some really
Bruh,
good sponsors here.
I see JB Prescott in midseason form already.
yeah. He's in mid-season form.
Okay, yes, and Prescott JB he replied back and he stated, "It is a brand just like Xerox, and FYI, well, Xerox is for papers, to print, etc." And so, yes, bring up a really good point, Prescott JB. On the other hand, yes, Ari, curious to know, who is your top 5 NBA championships contenders for this season?
all right. Well, I'm a definitely throw a wrench into things. I ain't gonna put in the Warriors in there, the Lakers, or the Phoenix Suns. I ain't
Okay.
putting none of them in there.
Dang.
So definitely Denver #1. I mean, yeah, you got to respect them just based on they figured it out. Obviously, they're gonna want to get another one back to back, and I definitely think they can do it if they have all the pieces right now. The way that Jamal Jokic is just a walk-in triple double at this point, with the way that he's able to facilitate, be the big man, and just has that team together. So I think yeah, and that's hard because again, like injuries. This is if no injuries, got the same team. They figured out. So Denver, Milwaukee next. I
Mhm.
think that Giannis is gonna get them back there, for sure. I gotta go with my Clippers because the way that Westbrook played, if Paul George and forgot his name right now because he's injured all the time.
Kawhi
Kawhi.
Leonard. No, he don't
I
play
just,
at all. So I forget his name
it's sad I
too.
forgot his name that
I
fast.
mean,
Yeah, because yeah, Paul
like,
George and Kawhi get it together. Like
yeah.
I think they can definitely be contenders. Um, and I think again, like Westbrook always has something to prove. So I mean, I'm gonna stick with that. I kind of
Pelicans. That's
I'm
interesting.
gonna put the Celtics next. I think I definitely agree with Ian. Their window is closing.
Okay.
They got it, especially they just
That's
lost.
crazy. I don't see that one.
I think they can make it work.
Mm,
I think they can
yeah.
make it work. So I'm putting in there, and then I'm gonna throw another wrench. I'm gonna put Sacramento in there because I feel as though without
Sacramento.
that injury, I think that they would have got a little further without DeAndre getting hurt.
Yeah, so you think they would have got past the Warriors in the first
Oh yeah,
round
definitely.
and they would have gave the Lakers a run in
Oh
the
yeah,
second round.
definitely. They're young, they're scrappy, and you need that in the playoffs. You need the youth.
Right.
That's why, like, I love the Lakers. I want them to win, but it's just hard with the injuries. LeBron's getting older, and they just don't have the experience to get to that point. I think. And then Phoenix, they always disappoint. They're gonna disappoint.
Mm,
They haven't played together, and I think the little market right now is really booming because they have trusted the process at this point. They played together, so I don't think that. I mean, I know the politics of it. They want them to be there, but I just don't see it happening unless they make some moves.
right.
So let me
Mm,
let me ask you this, because when I was doing my list and I was going through and I was determining between the last couple of teams, I was briefly looking at Sacramento, but I'm like, Is De'Aaron Fox good enough to be the best player on a championship team? That's the question for me, and that's the question I got for you. Do you think that he's the best player to be on a championship team? Because that's what it would take to really be, to get propelled on to where they need to be.
I think he could do it. I think he could do it. And I kind of wanted to put the Knicks in there, but it's just like they don't. I can't because like the only one there. Yeah, I'm thinking about Villanova kid, and I'm just like he can't do
Like
it by
Josh
himself.
Hart,
Yeah,
Jalen
um,
Brunson.
Bronson, yeah.
Jalen Brunson. Um, I think he could do it because he has the pieces around him. The Knicks, they gotta make some move. I'm sorry, they gotta break some hearts on that team because like Jalen was by himself. I think if he had some pieces, I would put the Knicks in there too. But yeah, I think he can do it. I think he's gonna break some hearts in this playoffs. Long as he stays healthy, I think he can. I think he's ready. He did it against a tough team like the Warriors. They forget how good the Warriors are. Like
Yeah.
that's not easy to do on the big stage. So yeah, put him in there.
Right. Yeah. Y'all. And by the way, to address the comments, we got a number of them. Um, basically,
We can pull them up.
Jay Coleman, he brought up something interesting. He stated Pelicans definitely a contender if Zion is back and going to stay healthy. I noticed we all, Jay, got a number of questions about health. So if Zion's healthy,
Yeah.
if the Clippers are healthy, if this team is healthy, etc. And so a lot of what ifs. Jamar just stated if Klay Thompson is back in Klay Thompson form. And so we making a lot of assumptions based off of what if. Jay Coleman gave us his top five: Pelicans, Suns, Warriors, Bucks, Celtics. Um, Also, the comments state, yeah, every year, boy, we got a lot of comments. It's hard to keep up with them. And that's good. And so, yes, Zion been in the lab and looking great. Somebody don't like that we picking the Lakers. I'm finna pick the Lakers. And so speaking of my top five, um, no disrespect to the Milwaukee Bucks, okay? But I can't pick them over Miami. And so I got Denver as my number one team. Yes, Denver, we gotta respect Denver. Number two, I got Boston because Kristaps Porzingis brings a great element to this team. He brings height and he brings a lot of length defensively. That was something that actually Boston was kind of missing, especially when Williams wasn't on the floor. But now they got Kristaps and he can actually shoot three, which is great. Al Horford. I know somebody stated that Al, Facebook user, you stated that Al Horford wasn't coming back, or that he's actually still on the roster. And as far as I know, he's been a veteran that's been very productive his whole career. So I like Boston to be in the mix of things. This team has went to various conferences ever since these guys have come in the league. Boston has been in the conference finals or better ever since they've come in the league. Only time they lost was when Kyrie messed it up. Now we know what happens with Kyrie; he messes everything up. But outside of that, Boston has been literally knocking on the door, and so it's time for Boston to knock that door down finally, just as Denver was knocking on the door, as we know y'all for years prior to. So Denver, Boston, I gotta pick Miami, and if Damian Lillard's going to Miami, then guess what? Boston is in some real trouble because Miami is scrappy. They defend. Jimmy Butler's a dog. Eric Spoelstra is one of the best coaches in basketball. And not to mention that this team is just built for the playoffs. Jamar, you even mentioned, and if I had to replay prior to the playoffs, you mentioned Miami has been a sleeper. This team played in the play-in tournament. And the Bulls, we was happy because we was up with 3 minutes to left, and then Miami hit threes and hurt our hearts. And after that, they got into the playoffs, and it led to your speech, like you say, Ari, of our brother, Giannis Antetokounmpo, gave us the most heartfelt speech in sports for the year. He should be nominated for an ESPY. But it was because the Miami Heat. It was because Miami Heat, okay, put the heat on him and his squad. And so I got Miami. On the other end, I got Golden State. I'm not finna sit there and sleep on Golden State like Golden State still not them dudes. Now with Chris Paul there, You take him away from Jordan Poole, you got some defense now. You got a veteran that's gonna make sure the team is in the right places. You got a guy that can go back and forth in the fourth quarter with other guys. Steph Curry got some pressure off of him now, but that leaves Klay Thompson more open. That leaves Steph Curry more open. And do you want to just let those guys be open shooting threes? Really? So Golden State. And lastly, I'm gonna actually go with Phoenix. I'm not gonna sleep on Kevin Durant. I'm not gonna be disrespectful to him. Bradley Beal, he's the guy that's gonna come in hungry, y'all. He got something to prove. He ain't had no playoff experience really outside of Washington, and all of the best they had was with the second round from a couple years. He's been an all-star for years. He's been one of the top players in the league, and he is hungry, and he coming in with something to prove. And so Phoenix, watch out for this team, the Wild Wild West. I'm sorry, Lakers. I was gonna put y'all in, but when I based off of these other teams, they appear to be better. The Lakers do got a chance to be a sleeper team. I know Richard Jefferson just picked them as a sleeper team going into this season. And so we'll see what the Lakers do. They got a nice squad, but there's some other teams out there. If we just talk about top five, and it was hard, Jamar, because we only could pick 5 teams. And so, Jamar, you picking a bone with my list here? Because yes, I got I got Phoenix, I got Golden State, I got Miami, I got Boston, and I got Denver. Yeah, sorry, Milwaukee. Sorry, Lakers. Um, Milwaukee got some proving to do to me. They got a lot of proving to do to me. Um, I'm kind of questioning, are they even still the same Milwaukee team as a couple of years ago? Because the way they went out in the playoffs, they went out soft, real soft. I'm not putting my top 5.
All right. So the only question I'm coming at you.
Miami, they got whooped by them. No, get out my top 5.
Okay. All right. So speaking of Miami, this is for you and Dwayne, because I know Dwayne is Heat Nation. So my thing is about 3 months ago, 4 months ago, I was on the Miami bandwagon, and rightfully so, because they was either a first round exit or a championship contender, within the same team, because they had that potential, and Lord and behold, they went to the finals. But I think the things that make them so great, I don't know if they are there at the moment. It's the Gabe Vincents of the world who went to the Lakers. It's the Matt Struss of the world that went to the Cavs. The role players that actually played up to that level, they're no longer there. So my thing is, can Miami still be that? Because I know Jimmy is Jimmy, but as we saw, Jimmy ran out of gas.
Yes.
Because Jimmy can't do it by himself.
Okay.
Bam Adebayo, like at times he could be brilliant, at times he could be like DeAndre Ayton. And I still can't find DeAndre Ayton right now. I don't know where that man's at. But that's my thing with the Heat. Like, I don't know if the depth and the Heat culture is ingrained with what they have right now. I know for most players, sure, but I don't know if they have the sustainability at this moment to do what they need to do to get back to that level. That's my issue.
I see your point, man. But when I think of the Miami Heat right now, guess who I think of, Ari? I kind of think of the Patriots of old. I kind of think of the San Antonio Spurs of old. It don't matter. They can plug in guys, and when it comes to a system, they'll find their way. Because sometimes it's about the development, sometimes it's about the culture, and sometimes it's about just having the right people around you to put you in the right place is successful. And I think that's one thing that Miami does better than everybody in the NBA right now, outside of Golden State. And so basically, if I'm just making my pick, y'all. Now, if Miami don't get Damian Lillard, I'm with y'all. Of course, no, get out of my top 5. But I'm assuming that Damian Lillard, the way these rumors have been stated and that he wants to go there, Damian Lillard goes to Miami. They're in my top 5, and they are super dangerous because Jimmy Butler can be tired. You got Dame time, and he going to take a lot of pressure off of him. And Bam Adebayo, too. And so that pick, y'all, is just strictly based off of Damian Lillard possibly going to the Miami Heat, which has been heavily rolled. On the other hand, we got a number of comments. Jay Coleman stated, sounds like Brandon onto some A for the list. Thank you. Dwayne Hawkins stated, until he gets running up and down the court, And so he is talking about LeBron. I don't how did LeBron get into this, y'all? Prescott JB stated if LeBron would just shave his head, the slander he received would make him play as hard as he did when he was 21. J. Coleman stated Lakers ain't no base. All the other teams improving, and the West is deep. Bron should have stayed in the East. That's a good point. Should have stayed in the East. Dwayne Hawkins, he's agreeing with you, Jamar. That's the same issue with Boston. But Charles around with that Celtics wave because it's JT and JB. You right, Dwayne. We like the Celtics because those two guys. And then he also stated, "Put me on the show right now, LMA." This is and so
My bad, Dwayne.
Yeah, it's okay, Dwayne. I like Miami. Dwayne Hawkins, by the way, Ari is a Miami Heat fan. And he has the right to be. This is a great organization. And Jay Coleman stated Missoula is going to be a much better coach this year. His coach was one of the biggest reasons the Celtics did not go further, honestly. Ooh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point. That's a good point, Jay Coleman. He at moments was inexperienced in that conference finals against Eric Spoelstra, Jamar. We know it. There was moments where like he was just like Eric just kind of knew, okay, I know to press this button already. And you could kind of see, Missoula trying to figure it out, like on the fly, like, And so that's a really good point, Jay. He will have another year of experience under his belt. I also heard as a potential top 5, y'all, is Cleveland. And the comments, and we get a chance to really learn how to work these comments, Jamar and Ian. But basically, I ran into a Facebook user. Good morning, sir or ma'am. They stated that Cleveland is a sleeper for the top 5, and I kind of like, okay, because of another year of experience. We got your boy from Gary, Ian, and Jamar.
Garland.
Darius Garland.
Point guard. I mean, yeah, they got 2 great bigs. Max Strus just touchdown. We got D. Mitchell. I mean, of course, we know about Donovan. And so, like,
man, don't speak about Donovan right now, man.
What Donovan? That dude, he scored 75 this year.
Yeah, but
what he do against the Knicks?
Yeah, he's
nothing.
Taking the Knicks over there.
He got to improve.
It's still an APP.
I'm still stuck on. So you're taking Damian or not? You're taking the Heat over a healthy Giannis, because remember Giannis wasn't even healthy the whole series. So you're taking that over a healthy Giannis, Chris Middleton, and Drew. Experience.
Now, as stated, Ari, this is if Damian Lillard. It's if. And so if even Damian Lillard, yes, is with the Miami Heat, yes, I'm yes.
Okay. He's never gotten to that point.
Right. Now, of course, like right now, no. But remember, my pick, y'all, is based off of if Damian Lillard goes to the Miami Heat. If he doesn't, yes, I agree with you guys. Of course. Miami is not a top 5 team. I will put Milwaukee there. I would.
Even with Damian, I'm still taking the Bucks over them.
Wait, say that again.
Even with Damian, I'm still taking the Bucks over them, just based on experience.
Ooh, no. What do y'all think about Aries' comments here?
He may get a good, nice little game winner, but in a series, they're gonna win. They're gonna beat the Bucks.
You need to listen to the educated lady.
They're gonna beat the Bucks 4 times.
She does have 4 degrees, right?
They're not beating them.
Facebook user stated Cleveland barely top 5 in the East, and Dwayne Hawkins stated, "What are y'all smoking on the show today?" Ari, what was you about to say?
Said it's not happening. I love Dame, but it's not happening, and he's not leaving. Don't let that man fool you. He's not leaving.
You don't think he's leaving Portland?
No, he always says this.
Right, get everybody going for the whole summer. And then, I'm just staying in Portland.
I'm staying. Max.
I only needed some new Instagram followers, so that's why I said that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. On the other hand, Dwayne Hawkins stated that Middleton pulls a disappearing act every year. He does at times. He showed up this playoffs, though. I must admit, he was trying his best. when
And I can say this, and I
Giannis
can
was
say the
hurt.
same thing about Bam Adebayo. He could pull a disappearing act too.
Yes.
I mean, but he makes up for other things, right? We can make that argument about Bam. If Bam ain't scoring, he damn sure playing some defense. And if he ain't doing that, he damn sure rebounds. And if he ain't doing that, he damn sure making the right pass.
Okay.
Okay,
Well,
we can
back
say
to
the
your
same
Golden
about
State.
Middleton.
He also have games where he just goes missing. He'll have a good
Yeah.
first half, and then the rest of the game he go missing.
He could go missing on the scoreboard.
He
You got
go
to be
missing.
specific. But I don't think he go missing in other aspects because he does so much. This guy's like an all NBA defender. He does a lot of things. Sometimes you might have to go missing in order to be present in other things, right, Ari, as a basketball player, right? Sometimes you might have to go missing on scoring points because Max Strus and all the other guys are getting their shots up.
Because he had a game like that in the finals. I think he had a big first quarter or first half, scored like 15 or 18 points, and then the rest of the game, I don't even think he scored no more. Or maybe he had 2 to 4 points, and I think they ended up losing. It might have been the closeout game, I believe, in Denver. I think it was a closeout game. He started off fast, and he was nowhere to be found for the rest of the game.
Right. And so, yes, guys, we got a request from Jay Coleman. He stated, pick the conference finals teams. And so that we put under pressure right now, y'all. Pick the conference finals teams and add one West team as the West is the stronger conference. And so I guess, Jay, in this case, you're asking for us to pick which two teams we think will make the conference finals and add one West team as the West is the stronger conference. So like maybe a sleeper for the West, a third team or something. And so just quickly, Jamar, if you had to pick, good morning, Victor Young. If you had to pick two teams right now that would make the conference finals in each conference, who would you pick as your picks for the conference finals? Yeah, let's go with the East first, y'all. Let's go with the East.
Well, Milwaukee and Boston.
Okay.
So in the West, Denver. Denver, Phoenix, and then my other team. I'm a wishful thinking guy. LA Clippers.
I knew you was going there. I knew it.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's consistent with my list.
Right. And
For the East, I'm gonna say that's a tough one. I'm gonna say the Chicago Bulls.
I was going there.
Okay. I was
Dwayne Hawkins gonna choose the Bears. Boy, if you don't lay off the Bears, don't make me put that picture of Ezekiel Elliott with his shirt off and that belly hanging,
Oh my God.
and Patriots sign and Ezekiel. Don't make us talk about the Patriots. On the other hand,
I'm gonna go with Boston. I'm gonna go with Boston and Milwaukee. In the West, I'm gonna go with Denver. I'm gonna go with Denver and the Warriors. And for my sleeper in the West, you know what? For my sleeper in the West, I'm gonna go with Sacramento.
Okay.
Lord.
Right. Yep. And so that is Ian's picks. And just quickly, Ari, I want to address the comments. Victor Young stated Milwaukee, Boston, Denver, Golden State. Victor Young stated, did I miss the Bears portion of the show? I'm going to be sad if I did. And then Dwayne Hawkins stated, don't make me post y'all record from last season. We know we were 3-14. Jay Coleman stated, West, I got Phoenix versus Denver. East is Celtics versus Bucks. So, Ari, who you got right now if you had to pick teams for the conference finals?
All right, East. Let's go Milwaukee Knicks. I think the Knicks.
Yeah, I got a ranch too. I'm not finna just
We're gonna go Milwaukee Knicks. And then West. Let's go Denver. I'm gonna go Clippers, and then Sacramento, the sleeper.
Okay. For the East, I'm gonna go with if Damian Lillard comes to the East. Milwaukee is not going. I think Milwaukee no. But I would go with Boston and Miami. Um, and for the West, I don't know. I just feel like man, like Golden State is highly disrespected here. Um, I'm gonna go with Golden State making the conference finals. Um, I think Denver's gonna fall short. It's always hard for teams to go back. Um, and so I'm gonna go with Golden State, and I think the Lakers are a really well-rounded team. I think they're gonna shock some folks. I'm gonna go with the Clippers, not making it. Um, and so yeah, I'm gonna go with Golden State and the Lakers. And I would say as a sleeper team, I can't pick the Clippers, Shamar. I love your Clippers, but I don't know how healthy they're gonna be. Um, so I'm gonna go with Phoenix as a potential team right there. Um, and so Dwayne Hawkins stated, "Show my comment about Middleton, LMAO. We don't know what your comment is, Dwayne Hawkins. Oh, okay. Middleton does one thing, and that's score or showing them big ass teeth with the confused look on his face. But Bam does other things. And so, Dwayne, that's what you wanted us to see, really. Uh, Again, he stated, Prescott JB stated, Dame is in Portland having an affair with the milk of magnesia woman from Don't Be a Menace. So basically, that's what's happening with Dame Lillard, according to Prescott JB. Ari, Dame is in Portland having an affair with the milk of magnesia woman from Don't Be a Menace. And then Dwayne Hawkins stated Middleton does one thing, and that's score or showing them big ass teeth with the confused. With the confused look on his face. But Bam does other things, and so he's taking up for Bam Adebayo. Y'all can't say nothing bad about Bam Adebayo in or Jamar. Not with Dwayne Hawkins. You can't say nothing bad about him. He coming at you. And so yes. With that being said, yes, world. That is our top 5 NBA championship contenders. Yeah. And so on the other hand, let's progress. I don't know who I really picked. It's gonna be really hard. I just said some teams, but I do like the Lakers because I'm a LeBron fan, so that's why I picked them. Honestly. On the other hand, let's now talk some more hoops, Ari. Okay, let's talk FIBA World Championship basketball. And so, there's a tournament that starts on August 25th where it really counts. But right now, okay. At the moment, we are watching qualifying games and matchups. The tournament concludes on September 10th. And so, actually, right now, the number 1 ranked team going in, y'all, is Spain. Okay. Not the US, France, or Canada. If you guys have watched FIBA, you see that it's like a lot of our okay players. It's not like, you know, but the United States is so good that they can kind of just send people like Bobby Portis. And so shout out to Bobby Portis. He is a fellow Chicago Bull, and he always has my heart. Um, but of course, the world knows that the overall best country in the world for basketball talent is indeed the United States of America. And so, with that being said, I want to know, Jamar and Ari, as well as to our viewers, y'all rock with us on this one because this is a good tournament here. I kid y'all not, there's some squads out there. What other countries do you think pose a threat to us in the tournament? Example given: Spain, Canada, France, Japan, Bahamas, Dominican Republic. Y'all literally just beat Canada yesterday, and they got Cat on their squad. They got some others. Bahamas got DeAndre Ayton, Buddy Hield. They got another guy too. I can't remember his name. That's a very good NBA player. So these islands, these little countries, they got some squads, y'all. Not to mention these European squads, and not to mention that Canada got SGA. They got what's the dude that used to play for the Grizzlies, the loudmouth, Dylan Brooks. Um, Powell, the light skinned guy that played for the Mavericks. Zach Edey, Purdue Boilermaker. Um, they got some squads. What's the guy Dort that played for the Oklahoma City Thunder? He's on Canada. So just curious, Jamar, what squads out there, indoor squads, the United States got to worry about if they want to win this FIBA basketball tournament?
I mean, Canada is the one that sticks out to me the most, and I know they ended up losing the other day, but I mean they have some nice talent on that team. They really do. But as we know, FIBA, playing international and then playing in the NBA is two different like dynamics.
It's two different games, yeah.
It is, and so I mean, in all honesty, I feel like we're gonna be okay because I feel like that it's about to be Anthony Edwards coming out party. I feel like I know that's your boy. I remember for the last couple of years, like you was taking Edwards, I was taking LaMelo, but
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm definitely on the bandwagon, my friend. Like he's different.
Yeah, he's a dog out
He
there. He's a dog out
he
there.
is because he brings intensity on both ends. Like I found a whole highlight clip of him D'ing somebody up like the whole game, and it was like great highlights. Like this man is just different. But yeah, Canada they have a pretty solid roster. But I mean, but to be honest, I don't really see anybody like really giving us a real threat just because the people that we have on the team, they come in with a chip on their shoulder. They come in with something to prove. It's not like, when we sent that BS team back in 06 or anything like that. Like this is this is a team full of young, hungry individuals that wants, to put a name, make a name for themselves. So
Right.
I think we're straight, honestly.
Okay. All right. Em, your thoughts?
I have to agree with Jamar. Just going through the team thing, like you said, Canada probably sticks out the most. I'm sure it may be a sleeper, that we're not thinking about, that we might not, talk about. But I think the USA, I think they're pretty good. I think like I said, got a lot of guys on that team that got a lot to prove, and a lot of young guys that are stepping into new roles on their teams in the NBA. So it's kind of be like an outlet for them to showcase what they really can do on a different stage as well. So and give them more experience as well too.
Okay. Yeah. To address the comments, Dwayne Hawkins stated, Aiden be showing up in FIBA like he should in the NBA. And so basically, in other words, he's talking about that DeAndre Aiden is showing up for the Bahamas. Uh right, like he should in the NBA. Yeah. And then additionally, true, but a lot of the players are from somewhere else. And so, and thank you, Jamar, for pulling these up. And so, Ari, yeah, who do you feel is a threat to the United States? And I don't know if you had a chance. Have you had a chance to maybe see some of the games or some of the highlights of some of these different countries? They got some talent.
Yeah, I saw one of the games. I forgot who they were playing. They were playing with them a little bit. This was like a week ago. But I mean, honestly, I'm not worried. I'm gonna go with the U.S. regardless. I'm thinking about my brother. His favorite player is Brandon Ingram, and he be telling me all the time like this is his moment. He's gonna show up, and I do think he will. I think a lot of people sleep on him as a player, and then Austin Reeves has something to prove too. And so I think that those are gonna be the ones that really show up. And then just thinking of coaching staff like Kerr, Eric Spoelstra, they're not gonna let that happen. So I feel confident in them. I think the Bahamas is cool. Canada, I was thinking about that. It might be a little bit of competition, but at the end of the day, like they're gonna step that level of play up. They're not gonna embarrass us,
Right. The United States has high expectations when it comes to this sport. But I'm worried for the United States, y'all, and here's why. This is not like the NBA, y'all. This is sort of like FIBA's like college basketball. Do y'all see how short the 3-point line is? We can
Hmm.
shoot that 3-pointer, really. And so that makes the game super dangerous because anybody can shoot the three, literally any five. Spain got a lot of height, y'all, and I've been watching it. I've been watching a lot of these games, the highlights. Spain literally almost took us to overtime. What saved us at the end of the day was Anthony Edwards and, of course, the Villanova boy, Chicago product, Stevenson, Jalen Bronson. Those two guys stepped up for us, and they had to basically do what LeBron do sometimes in the fourth quarter, to where they just say, "Give me the ball, move out the way." They had to do that against Spain because Spain was pushing them and dominating them in the hole. Bobby Portis was trying his best, but he couldn't really bang with those big guys like that from Spain. So it was dangerous. Another team, y'all, Canada, like we mentioned, they got a lot of NBA talent, and I think they was kind of playing with the Dominican Republic a little bit because they had just went into overtime against Spain the day before. And so Spain literally has pushed the United States and Canada to the final 2 minutes of the game. Not saying that they won't get passes, but it does make it as a threat, a real threat. France is another threat. France, and yes, I live in Guadeloupe. It's a French island, but France got a lot of talent. They got guys that are not just like Rudy Gobert. They got guys that can get buckets. And I don't even know these guys' names. They play in Europe somewhere. But these guys get a lot of buckets and they can score just like NBA players can. And they fast and they got a lot of speed. They got a short guys that's like midgets that's running around the court that can break down your defense. And so it's going to be really interesting this tournament. The Bahamas, they got a lot of NBA talent. Buddy Yield, DeAndre Aiden, it's another guy I can't even remember. So it's a variety of teams. Yes, United States, y'all, is the favorite. They should be. But at the end of the day, I do worry that we don't have our top players as NBA guys and as people that watch this sport. We kind of sent okay guys. We haven't sent like guys that are like our best, and that kind of worries me because these countries have sent their best, and so it makes it potentially dangerous for the United States just a little bit. And so to address the comments, Patty Mills be out there balling for Australia, like that one Dave Chappelle joke about Kobe, play for your freedom. And so that's the comment by Prescott JB. And then Jake Coleman stated Canada is the biggest threat with Shea, Jamal Murray, Dwight Powell, Dylan Brooks, Kelly Olynyk. They are very deep with scrappy players. And so there's some threats out there for sure. And so the United States, I would say, have to be worried about Canada, Spain, France, the Bahamas, and I mean Dominican Republic looks really good too. I mean, I know it might sound crazy because these are islands, but you know they got some talent, really. And so another sleeper could be Germany too. And so yes, world that covers FIBA. It's going to be very interesting because it's not the NBA. It's like playing college. It's like literally the NCAA tournament. But we still got the best talent. And talent at the end of the day in basketball, especially in professional basketball, wins games. All right. And so let's now, y'all, get into the James Harden comments. And so recently, Ari, as you know, James Harden, he made some comments as he was, having a speech and he was talking to the youth. And he stated that he doesn't want to be a part of an organization that is associated with a liar, such as Daryl Morey. And so right now, there appears to be a strained relationship because yesterday he stated via the media again that at this point, there's no turning back between him and the Philadelphia 76, the organization, and that he in this organization have a strained relationship and there's no point of returning back. And so at this point, it looks like there's farewell tours that will be occurring for James Harden. And so just curious. Um, if you, let's say, had to see James Harden join a team, or if you wanted to see him join a team, right? We just talked about our contenders. Um, what team would you want James Harden to join us? So I'm gonna go with you first, Ari. You, Jamar, and then you, Ian. And so, Ari, if you had to pick a team that you would like to see James Harden join, because he don't look like he'll be in Philly anymore. What team would you like to see him join?
This is hard because I just I don't like his level of play anymore. I don't want him to join any other team. I think he's a cancer at this point. You know, he's a quitter. He doesn't. I mean, he had that nice. I think he had a 50-point game in the playoffs that won. It's just
Yeah.
hard because I don't know what happened. I don't know what went wrong with him
Mm-hmm.
after Houston. And are we picking solely contenders?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe Cleveland if he gets his act together.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that might be a good place for him. Um, I really don't see him being on any other team without just is he gonna actually care? And
Mm-hmm.
even just his energy, I just don't like it right now. But he used to be really good though. It's hard.
Mm. Yeah. Okay.
Hmm.
Jamar.
Honestly, I feel the same way. What Ari said, like, I mean, I don't want him on any team at all.
Please. I want him on my
Like
team, damn it.
I'm, you can have him. Uh, I mean, based on just think about it. Like, what has he done for me lately? Type deal. Like, you only as good as what you can do today. And so my thing is like with him, there is a lot of a diva with him, and it's like in Houston, like he ended up forcing his way out, right? Brooklyn, same thing. Now all of a sudden, Daryl Morey's a liar. He probably is. He probably is. But at the end of the day, like this is three different stints in like what a 3 year window. It feels like at the end of the day, you gotta look yourself in the mirror. Like something got to give. And so, as
Let
far
me
as James
ask you this,
Harden,
Jamar, and after you finish your comment, I want to ask you something about,
yeah.
yeah.
Um, but I guess as far as a team that he can go to that I guess fits his playing style and whatnot, I I, I don't know. I honestly don't know at this point. Outside of where he's at
I'm
now, I
here
don't
in
know.
LA. I'm here in LA, J. Coleman. Not the Lakers, the opposite. I like to see him on the Clippers. And so you stated he would be good on Lakers. LeBron is he would be good on the Lakers too. I love to see him with the Clippers though, and to see
Mm,
some
mm,
insurance outside of those two guys, as you stated, Prescott, JB, that are associated and sponsored with AARP and the others. Because if they get hurt, who the hell they gonna go to? Um, I
It's not
guess they
going
just have Russ to go to and Terrence Mann. Or maybe Eric Gordon, but he'll be nice. On the other hand, I'll get to my other team shortly. But Ian, go ahead. My apologies.
Um, would be a good look on the Clippers. I mean, I mean, to be honest, James Harden he gets hurt a lot too. Every other month is a
But it's not
ankle.
a comparison. It's not a comparison to Kawhi and Paul George. It does not.
No, but
It's nowhere near. Nowhere near.
no, it's not. But he ain't far behind though. So like to be honest, I don't know. I don't know where he could go. I mean, he's been practically everywhere. Been in the East. He's been in the West. He played with some phenomenal players. The only superstar he probably hasn't played with, literally, is probably LeBron James and maybe Damian. Played with um, Dwight Howard, Kevin Durant,
Would he be interested in Portland, Ian?
Joel Embiid. I mean, that would be a fair trade. I mean, straight up, but I mean,
I mean,
he'll,
they
he'll,
wouldn't be a contender though.
huh?
That's it. Portland, they wouldn't be a contender.
Right, and that's what I was gonna say. So he wouldn't be happy with that trade, but I mean, he wants out. You know, if I'm Philly, you know, at this point, I don't give a damn where you go. I mean, you want out, I'll trade you wherever. So I mean,
Um, what about back in Dallas with Kyrie?
That's interesting.
I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, but then they'll have three players that's ball dominant. How would that work?
I mean,
Also,
Phoenix do, Golden
Yeah.
State do.
Mm-hmm.
That's the
but
NBA now.
Yeah, but
but the,
Golden State, I mean, Golden State is a little different. Steph can play off the ball. Clay plays off the ball, so that's a little different. With That's almost like having with Dallas. That's almost like having three LeBron James on their team. They're gonna be ball dominant, so they ain't gonna do nothing but play 1-on-1 basketball. They're just gonna take turns. Everybody get out the way, let them dribble, shoot. Well,
Brooklyn did it,
Hart-
but Brooklyn just did that, bro, and they literally
Mm-hmm.
came a shoestring from beating Milwaukee that year. Remember?
no,
Yep. Yep.
yeah, but it didn't. I mean, eventually it didn't work. It didn't
It's
work.
close though. It was
I
this close.
Yeah,
I mean, I'll throw in there like you also have three players that don't play any defense at all either. So you gonna do that? At least Kevin Durant plays some defense,
right.
and it's a 7-footer that's unguardable. The other, like if you put Harden, Luka, and Kyrie together, like
They all the
where's the
same.
perimeter defense? That's the reason why Dallas ain't make the playoff to begin with.
But guys, who really plays defense in today's
Yeah.
NBA like that?
But the
Well, you got to
offense,
play enough to make the playoffs.
Yeah,
they'll just have to score so much it wouldn't matter.
Right, and
yeah.
they can do that if James
Yeah.
Harden there. I mean,
Make it work.
that's a lot of baskets. I mean, we say
Yeah.
the same thing literally about Phoenix right now, or you can say the same thing about other teams, but that's the NBA now. And so, Ari, that is very interesting. We're going to bring that up for clips later this week, by the way. Would James Harden work in Dallas? That would be very interesting. That's very interesting. Would he work in LA? Would he work with the Bulls? What do you think, Em?
I
He's
think
a headache, but I'm a Bulls fan, damn it. And
I
if I'm trying to win games, I know he might be a cancer, but hey, he might fit in perfectly. I don't know until you try. He might fit in perfectly with Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan. It might be three guards, damn it. But in today's NBA, who doesn't have like multiple guards? If you're the Bulls, do you at least try to check in on them?
Yeah, I mean, of course,
Like
I
try to
would,
make a phone call?
but you know, it's not going to be all three. That we're not going to keep all. They're going to want. They'll probably want the younger. They're going to want Levine or DeMar DeRozan. It's going to be either one. Probably Levine because he's younger. But of course, it wouldn't be all three. I wouldn't be opposed to him coming here. I mean, he'll have the ball a lot. We have some young talent here. Will we be a contender in the East? We'll be in the mix of things. I wouldn't say we'll be a top contender. That's a stretch, but I mean, it's not really a lot of places for him to go. You know, I mean, he's been a lot of places. So,
Right,
tough
but
situation for him.
right, but
He should
yeah.
stay.
Do you at least just get on the phone and say, hey, could
Of
this?
course.
Right. Yes. Jay Coleman stated the Bulls are fried. I love my team, but it's a no. I agree. He's not coming to Chicago. But as a fan, sometimes you just raise the question. And so, yes, James Harden appears to not have many places to go. But at the same time, Ari, you bring up a very interesting point of him potentially, would he be a good fit in Dallas? That's interesting. Because of today's NBA, it really is. And so, yes, with that, let's conclude to our final conversation, which is the WNBA. Jay Coleman also stated Bulls need a rebuild. Zach DeMar, Voos do not fit on the championship level. We play for championships, not participation awards. No thanks. And so, yeah, Bulls, according to Jay Coleman, needs a rebuild. And so yes, let's talk y'all some WNBA. And we're gonna talk some WNBA, Ari, because we are fans of the WNBA, and I know you are as well. And so basically, it's been a lot happening. Um, we know going into the season, y'all, that the Liberty and the Aces, they were the top two teams. They made some big splashes this offseason, etc. And so, as of late, by the way, as you guys know, the Liberty has owned the Aces. And then additionally, Candace Parker has been out with an injury for the Las Vegas Aces, and they have been suffering defensively. Recently in the Commissioner's Cup, this is like just the in-season tournament for the WNBA. The Las Vegas Aces again lost to the New York Liberty, and Joquel Jones was the MVP, 16 and 15 boards. And so I'm just curious, Ari. You can start off first, Jamar, and then Ian. Which team do you like at the moment? Let's just say hypothetically, if Candace were to come back, I mean, she will be back. Which team do you think at this moment, or not say at this moment, what team do you think will come out with the WNBA title this season? Now, of course, your answer could be different going into the playoffs, but which team do you think will come out with the WNBA title this season?
It's hard because injuries. I think if Deladon, Ariel, and Shakira didn't go out and they're trying to get back into things, I think the Mystics could have really made a run for their money for sure.
Mm,
And so it's tough. I mean, they just came back last game. They played Indianapolis. Indiana. I want to stick with them because that's my team right now, but I think that the Aces can definitely recover from it. They have the experience, they have the will, but I mean, the way that Liberty are playing, they're starting to figure it out too. So I'm
yeah.
kind of going in between both of them. But I just see Becky Hammond and that team making it happen, getting another one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go with them, no question.
Aces.
Yeah.
Yeah. When it all comes down to it, it's either, Liberty or Aces here. It seems like the Aces are the villains of the league, but that's one heck of a villain. And yeah, even though it seemed like Liberty got their number, but like you stated, Candace is out, and I still feel like the Aces are that team. So I'm definitely going Las Vegas here.
Okay. And who do you got, brother?
My answer is very biased. I'm gonna go with the Aces. I can never go against my girl Aja Wilson.
Yeah. Yep. And just for standings, right now, the Aces, they are the top team still by record, but the Liberty have definitely caught up with them as of late. And Connecticut Sun has a great team, y'all. Um, the Mystics were good. They've kind of suffered due to those injuries, like you mentioned. The Atlanta Dream has been a surprising team this season, and so that's really cool to see. And then the Dallas Wings have been a pretty good team too. Um, and so yeah, maybe you get to know me a little bit, Ari. But I kind of go with what I see, and so I got the Liberty. I mean, based off of what we've seen recently, they have beat them by 40 recently, and then beat them by 20 the other day. Hopefully Candace Parker and her I just question her age at this point. And so it'll be very interesting to see, but I think the Liberty definitely they're tough and they can score a lot. And so yes, on the other hand, Jay Coleman stated, I lean towards Aces since it's neck and neck even while Candace is hurt and out. Now if Candace is hurt and out, Jay Coleman, no. Liberty have been spanking them. But we talking with a healthy Candace Parker coming back.
Yeah.
And so we know with her being an all defensive Hall of Fame player, she makes up for a lot, both offensively and defensively. And so if Candace Parker's come back, does that open up things as Chelsea Gray, right? Ari, does that open up things for Kelsey Plum? Does it open up things for Aja Wilson? You know,
Mhm.
open up the doors for Jackie Young, all those talented players on the Aces. And so it appears that we are heading towards the Aces and the Liberty. But there could be some teams like you mentioned, Ari, that could throw some monkeys in the ranch, such as Washington or Dallas or the Dream, the Connecticut Sun. But it definitely appears to be the Aces and Liberty. And so, yeah. All right. And so at this point, world, that concludes our conversation this morning on the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast. Um, Thank you all for your comments. Thank you all for rocking with us this morning. This was definitely a great and fun conversation. And so, yes, Ari, I want to give you the chance before we do our final thoughts and shout outs. If somebody want to reach Ari, if somebody wants to find her on our Instagram, or if somebody wants to reach out to Arianna, how can we find you? Where can we find
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram. So Ari Emanuel-Wright. So Ariemanuel Wright, Wright. Yeah. So just reach out to me on there. Got all my links in there.
you? All right. Yes. And so, world, we thank you all for rocking with us this morning. And now we get to our final thoughts and shout outs. And so, since you are our guest, Ari, we'll go to you first as well. And so, any final thoughts or shout outs as we head into the weekend?
Yeah, I mean, just stay the course. I think mental health, I always go back to that. I think mental health is not thought about a lot. And I just really I want to just kind of speak to anyone that's going through something and you feel alone, you feel as though you don't have any support, you know, reach out to someone to get help, counseling, talk to your friends, talk to your family. I think that that is forgotten a lot of times, especially in the world of sports, and we've seen like athletes speak out about that and it
Yeah.
more, especially in 2022, 2023. And so, that's on my heart. And I think that we just got to stay together. We got to stick together, especially in our Black communities. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yep. Thank you for that reminder. It's something that we all need to be reminded of, because being silent and know you're going through something, that's a killer itself. And so thank you this morning for reminding us and our viewers and everyone of the importance of mental health. Yes. Jamar, any final thoughts or shout outs, brother, weekend?
Yeah, definitely shout out to our guest Ari for joining us for a second time. As you see, you definitely become a fan favorite for us with all the comments and just your perspective on everything. We definitely appreciate you for joining today for sure. Um, and I guess any other thoughts? Hey, I mean, we almost done with summer. That means we got the fall sports coming around. Bears Nation stand up. We optimistic here. Bulls not so much, but that's a different story. And I can't wait for my White Sox season to end because I'm tired of seeing Tim Anderson on his back. So that's
And so I don't know if you heard what happened with Tim Anderson, but did you hear?
No, what happened?
So he's our all-star shortstop. And basically he got tagged on second base, and there was a guy that plays for the Cleveland Indians. It's a rival team of ours in the AL Central, and he got into a fight with him. So basically, the funny part was he tagged him. He didn't like it, and so Tim Anderson got up, just like dudes from Chicago, and was like, "Scrap." And he went ahead and he tried to scrap. And the guy, literally, Ramirez, was not trying to fight him. He was trying to be kumbaya. Brother,
Yeah.
please, I don't want to fight. Let's talk about this. Let's negotiate things. And so, Tim Anderson wasn't listening. He went ahead and tried to punch him, and he eventually got put on his back with one hit. And it was one of the most embarrassing moments in Chicago history.
So
because it made Chicago look so bad. Because he literally scrapped up like a South Sider would do and got put on his back from a guy who wasn't even trying to fight him. And literally, put straight on his ASS. And it was just like, thanks a lot.
Talking
Thanks.
about talking about legs airborne in the air.
Yeah, it was really bad. Like, they had to pick him up and everything. And it was just like,
oh no, you start the fight and then still lose.
but lost
Dude.
bad.
That's bad, man.
Really
He
bad.
got up and didn't know where he was. It was
Oh
terrible.
god.
It was rough. Yeah. And so, yes. Yeah. On the other hand, Ian, any final thoughts or shout out, brothers? We head into the weekend.
Shout out to Ari for coming on with us again, chopping game with us. It's always great having you on. Just having your great insight on the game. Like Jamar stated, got the fall sports coming back. So everything will be in full swing. NBA, NFL is right around the corner. High school sports is starting. Football, basketball will be here soon.
Yeah.
And also, the kids going back to school. So, hopefully the kids have a blessed, school year. Everybody starting back sports in school. Kids have a blessed school year this year.
Yes, that is true. The kids did just start school this week. Yes. And so, additionally, to address the comments, J. Coleman stated protect yourself at all times. He also stated Irvin you has to return. And then he also stated Fields for MVP candidate. And so, yes, I got to get used to Jamar, by the way, not using his phone. The comments are right here. Now, sometimes some of them are hard to see at the top, but it's for the most part, everything is easy to see. World, I want to thank our sister Arianna for joining us. Thank you, Ari.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all.
Yes,
This is always a great time.
yes, it was a blast to have you on with us this morning. Thank you for making yourself available to rock with us this morning on the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast. And world, we thank you all. May you all have a blessed weekend. A special shout out to She Knows Her Sports LLC with our sister Helen Bohanna. We appreciate you. And yes, we look forward to continuing building that relationship with you in your brand. And so world, be safe this weekend. Put the guns down and put God first. And with God, all things are possible. And so we thank you all for rocking with us on the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast. And may each of you have a blessed weekend. Peace.
Peace.